Hey, yes. So there's going to be many big companies that we use, household names that file bankruptcy. And there's going to be, of course, smaller companies that also file bankruptcy. Hey, my name's Burudi Mwonyonyi, and I owned my own business for 5 years. I was wildly successful and also made all the money as well as made all the mistakes. So in addition to that, the past 2 years, I've also been studying financial markets and learning how to trade. I am a profitable trader. I encourage, I believe everybody should learn the financial markets, how to trade, how to play the Wall Street game, because those guys are making millions, hands over fist. So if you can get a little portion of that, that would be suitable, right? Everybody should learn a trade too. Jesus was a carpenter. But anyways, so getting back to the point, why I know that a lot of these companies are going to be going bankrupt is because of this. Past 10 years, the economy has been on a bubble. The market's been on a huge bubble because it's been interest-free money. Companies have been able to survive and thrive because it's been so easy to borrow money. If it's so easy to borrow money, companies that shouldn't even exist, really in all actuality, shouldn't be there. Since there's been so much money, let's just look at the past 2-3 years by government stimulus and government inflating things, or not inflating, or inflating, pushing, government support rather. There's been a surplus of money, there's been a surplus of spending, and that just causes extreme growth. Now, the government's tightening up, and they're kind of pulling the support. What happens when you pull the support on anything? It collapses, right? So that's what the economy, that's what the market is headed to do. It's going to collapse. I give you a good example. FedEx is tried, true, and tested, and they have, as of recently, as of last Friday even, they are cutting back. They're closing 90% of they're closing 90 offices. They're getting rid of 10% of their employees. They're stop hiring. So they're making adjustments, and this is a big company. So smaller companies, because it's harder to borrow money now, because people aren't spending as much, it's going to get harder and harder for these companies to keep up with payroll. They're not going to be able to borrow money to keep the growth, to keep the expansion. So just is the boom that we've had in the market, there has to be a proportionate bust. there just has to be. There has to be, and that's going to happen too. Something factual, something that you can actually put. Is a recession is 2 consecutive quarters with shrinking or declining gross domestic product, and we've had that. March to April, then April to August. It happened. So we're in a recession. We've been in a recession. Things are going to get worse. Fed Powell said, there's going to be pain in his Jackson Hole summit, where all of the chairs, where Fed chairs across the country, across the globe, we already, meet and talk finance and things. So in conclusion, the Fed says, well, we're going to raise the rates, we're going to raise the interest rates, and that's going to stop people from spending as much. It's going to stop people from borrowing. In theory, it's stop people from borrowing. It's going to make borrowing it's going to make borrowing more riskier, because you're borrowing money at a higher cost. And, that'll get people from spending so much. And if people aren't spending so much, that means the supply will actually, that our supply will there'll be more supply. There'll be less demand, more supply. But on the flip side of that, the cost of living and the cost of goods is here to stay. Just like the VID, you know what that's short for, is here to stay. This inflation's here to stay. Yeah, they may get it down a little bit, may fluctuate, but this price increase, the cost of living, it's here to stay. Every 30 years, there's just an adjustment. It's just the way the world works. Prices now aren't the same as prices in the 90s, the cost of living in the 90s. It's not. The prices in the 90s weren't the same price as the prices in the 60s. It's just a fact. So saying that, if they knew they can raise the interest rates in 5 meetings and that's going to be a soft landing, Why don't they just raise it the whole 6, the whole 10 that they're thinking? Why don't they do that now? Because it's a bunch of BS. They can't control inflation. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, they can't stop it. They can't. It's gonna be super hard to bring it to 2%. That means the government's just gonna have to do a lot. They're gonna have to stop their spending for that to be a true statement, to get it to 2%. It's not coming to 2%, and not within the next 5 years. Maybe not even the next 10 years. Things are gonna be high. It's just gonna get bad. Companies are gonna go out of business. A lot of people are gonna lose their jobs. It's just the way the world works. So I would learn how to trade. Because the stock market, that's going to be around until the test of time. And I would learn to trade. Jesus was a carpenter. Hopefully that was informative. Hopefully you got something out of that. Look at your company. Is your company a fly-by-night company? The operation of the company that you work for, how long they've been in business. Look at the owner's habits, spending habits. Look at them come around payday, around payroll. Just kind of observe your owner around payday, and see how he's acting.